Hey everyone, it's Dan with Pain For You. Today's topic is going to be chronic mental stress and its impact on our lives. So chronic mental stress, and another good term for chronic mental stress is too much thinking, TMT. Instead of TMS, for too much stress, TMT, too much thinking, causes too much stress. So before I try to dive into this, let's take a couple of nice deep breaths. Again, it's getting close to sunset here. Breathe in the peace. Breathe out the stress. Breathe in the silence. Breathe out the noise. Breathe in the stillness. Exhale the chaos. So, chronic mental stress. It's a term I heard when I was listening to a gentleman by the name of Dr. Bill Pettit. He is a psychologist or psychiatrist who's been in the business for 30 years. He's been really operating within the three principles for the past 20 plus years. Three principles are something that Sydney Banks first spoke about many years ago. It really tries to demystify how we see our lives, right? And essentially, this phrase, we are always feeling our thinking. So if you're feeling shitty, you're probably thinking shitty thoughts, right? And so that may sound like an accusation for you're thinking shitty thoughts and you need to change those shitty thoughts. That's not at all what I'm saying. You've heard me say in other videos, I've even done a whole video dedicated to this. You don't have to believe your thoughts, right? We've got 70 to 80,000 thoughts a day. If you don't believe that, just, that inner roommate of ours that's just talking to us and at us all day long, those are thoughts. And if you think you're crazy because you've got this voice in your head all the time, you're not crazy. Everybody has that. It's called thinking. And we're always thinking. And so I guess the entire point of this video is to encourage you to not take your thoughts so darn seriously. To not identify with them, not define yourself by your thinking. Somebody just tagged me in a post that they made, and it's this nice little quote. It says, "I do not fix my problems. I fix my thinking. Then my problems fix themselves." It's a great little quote by Louise Hay. And thank you for the lady who tagged me in that post of yours. And it's so true. We can get so carried away in our thinking and trying to solve our problems that all we're doing is thinking about our problems. And the bigger of a problem we make something, the more we focus on this problem and this desire and desperation to get rid of this problem. So we're thinking about it, we're trying to figure it out and trying to solve it. What happens to that problem? It tends to grow and magnify. It doesn't matter if your problem is chronic pain, chronic illness, migraines, headaches, anxiety, depression, right? It doesn't matter what your problem is. The more time you spend thinking about that problem as a problem and something you need to figure out and fix, the bigger of a problem it's going to be. So I'm going to make a statement here. And this was almost the title of this video. You're not mental. You're not mentally ill. You're not broken. So you're not mental, right? I've had that one on my topic list for a while, and a lot of us figure out that we've got this TMS thing, and then we start trying to figure it out, and oh my God, what emotion and what life experience, and trauma's this and trauma's that, and my current life stressors, I can't get rid of them, and now I've got this problem and I don't know what to do with it, and I must be mental, right? You're not mental. You're a normal human being. TMS is a coping mechanism by the brain to protect us from overwhelming emotional energy that we have not felt. We've repressed it, we've resisted it, we've pushed it away, we've swept it under the carpet so much that there's a mound in the living room and we're falling over it every time we walk through the living room. You're not mental. You're doing the best you can. We're all doing the best we can. And this Dr. Bill Pettit said the only mental illness is chronic mental stress, which means too much thinking is the only mental illness. And a lot of people are going to disagree with that and push back. And look, I'm not the expert on mental illness, but boy, if you think you're mentally ill, you're probably going to feel that way. You're probably going to behave that way. If you think that you have no control over your emotions and that you're just a wild, hot mess, you're probably going to think and feel and behave that way, right? If we think we are something and we truly believe it, most likely we're going to be that because we think it. You hear me say all the time, we tend to believe the things we think and say most often. So if you're always walking around saying, why am I so depressed? What's wrong with me? I'm so depressed. I must have something wrong with me. Oh, my life sucks and I've had all these traumas and I keep on watching the movie in my head of everything horrible that happened to me growing up and through my earlier adult life and et cetera, et cetera. You know, if all you're doing is focusing on everything bad that's ever happened to you and you're thinking those things all the time, how do you think you're going to feel? Right? We're always feeling our thinking. So look, if you want to feel better about yourself, about your life, don't take these thoughts so serious. You know, we have 70 to 80,000 thoughts a day. Certainly some of them are positive, upbeat, uplifting. Even if the majority of them are, you know, self-critical, judgmental, fearful thoughts, there's got to be some positive ones in there. If you kind of hone in on those and kind of let the other ones drift by, that's really important. So another thing that this Dr. Bill Pettit said was there's a huge difference between letting go of your thoughts and trying to change them, right? Because I'm not going to sit here and tell you, don't think negatively. Okay. You may be in the habit of thinking negatively, and if I tell you don't think negatively, the next time you think negatively, you're going to say, damn it, shouldn't have done that. Now I'm not going to be able to get better. No, you don't have to stop thinking negatively. We all have negative thoughts sometimes. But a lot of us respond to those different thoughts differently. What if you didn't have to fix these negative thoughts? What if you didn't have to change them? What if you didn't have to stop thinking negatively? What if you could just let those negative thoughts go by? Let them go. Okay, that was a really dark thought. Okay, whatever, right? And I know the attitude of indifference is something I talk about with regard to our pain and symptoms all the time. Hey, I'm really hurting today. Whatever. So what? Oh, I just had a really dark thought that maybe I'll fall into a depression. Okay. Whatever, it's just a thought. It's just TMS. It's just anxiety. It's just sadness disguised as depression, right? These are just thoughts, and we're always, 100% of the time, we're always experiencing our lives through our thinking. 100% of the time, right? And if you say, that person pissed me off, that's different from saying, I allowed myself to get pissed off by that person. Subtle, but do you see the difference, right? If you can take ownership of the thoughts, which you place value on and importance on, you have a lot more influence as to how you feel. You know, my life isn't perfect. There's a lot of things I'd like to be doing differently. But you know what? Anytime I find myself beating the crap out of myself for some of the things that I think I could or should be doing differently, I say, all right, that doesn't have to define me. I can kind of grab onto and hang on to the thought that comes behind it that says, no, Dan, give yourself a break. You're actually okay. You're a good guy. You'll figure this out, right? They're both just thoughts. Which one do you want to grab onto and hold on to? The thought that you're mentally ill, the thought that you're broken, the label that your doctor or psychiatrist or psychologist gave you that says you've got this type of disorder or this type of mental illness, right? Literally, we experience our lives through our thinking. And if you're going to accept somebody else's thoughts as your reality, that will become your reality. So if you don't want to feel shitty, don't buy into the shitty thoughts. I hope that makes sense. Chronic mental stress can literally create TMS, can perpetuate it, can keep it going, can make us feel broken, can make us feel damaged, can make us feel weak and depressed and anxious and fearful. But at the end of the day, mental stress is just thinking. And instead of trying to fix your problems, shift your perspective on your thinking, and the problems will kind of handle themselves. I hope that makes sense. A little bit of a ramble here. I am not an expert in these three principles: mind, consciousness, thought. Those are the three. If you're interested, look up some books by Sydney Banks. He's got one called The Missing Link, which I just read. Short, easy read, but excellent. I just got The Enlightened Gardener, and I just literally opened up and started reading the first chapter of that one. Very useful perspective on how we experience life. So check out Sydney Banks, his books, The Hidden Link and The Enlightened Gardener. I don't know about the other ones yet, but I think those would be a useful place to start. If you'd like to start researching this, look up Dr. Bill Pettit, Three Principles, on YouTube. He's got a bunch of videos. He's always being interviewed. He's got some really insightful ideas. There's a gentleman by the name of Dicken, D-I-C-K-E-N, Bettinger, B-E-T-T-I-N-G-E-R. He also speaks about the three principles. There's also Sydney Banks. Look up Sydney Banks, Three Principles speech. You can watch him. They're just very useful concepts on how life can take on a much easier, less painful, stressful way of being. And so I'll encourage you to do as I'm doing, which is to kind of dig into these three principles, the concept that we don't have to believe our thoughts. We don't have to define ourselves by them. We can simply let the thoughts go without having to fix them or change them. And when that kind of clicks, you really take on a nice ease and comfort. And a lot of the problems that we were so busy thinking were huge problems aren't quite as much of a problem. So, I think I'm going to wrap it up there. Chronic mental stress. That's probably a big portion of TMS, and a big portion of why it persists, and a big portion of why we might feel mentally unwell. TMT, too much thinking. So I hope you found some value in this. Let me know your thoughts. If you're aware of and a student of Three Principles, let me know what that's done for you. I'm curious personally, because I'm just really starting to dig into it a little bit. And I appreciate you. Thank you for listening. And if you think somebody can benefit by this, share it with them. And tell them to join the group, Pain For You group. or find me on YouTube, Pain for You. So love you guys and gals, and we'll see you tomorrow.